And now it's time to sip the coffee and spill the tea on Talking with 3D Live. Here's your host, Derrick Dixon.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of Talking with 3D Live. I am your host, Derrick Dixon, and this is where we always sip the coffee and spill the tea. Yeah, so I am here, ladies and gentlemen, with none other than the diva. They call her the diva in DMV, the model that has just graced the runway here all over the world, nationwide, so many different cities. Carolyn Phillips is in the house. Give it up for Carolyn. Carolyn, thank you, for
Derrick.
stopping by Talking with 3D Live. You know, we have gone back so many years. And I remember, I believe our first time actually meeting was at Travis Winkley's fashion show.
No, I first met you at your church
Ah, right.
with Shelly.
Yes, yes. And that's how we met.
Introduced me, yes.
Yes. And we would cut up and we had so much fun. Then I found out that you were a fashion model, and we just hooked up. We did so much together that it was just amazing. We would travel all over. I have to tell everybody the story. The very first fashion show that, and I believe that we did a Travis Winky, but I'm just gonna say that I didn't really know Baltimore, and I didn't really know the model circuit. So Carolyn, she says, well, I'll pick you up and we'll go together. And I said, okay, sure, we'll go together. Carolyn comes to pick me up, and we didn't have Waze and all that kind of stuff. Me and Carolyn would pull out maps to get to where we needed to get. We would write it down on a piece of paper. We would have maps to get to where we needed to get. We had an event that was 15 minutes up the street. It took me and Carolyn almost an hour to get to where we needed to get. And that time I said, no more, girl, don't you drive me nowhere else. It was literally around the corner, but we were going in circles and circles and circles because I didn't know. And she's not a true driver.
By no means.
So from that day on, we would drive. It'd be so funny because we still trusted each other. We drove to D.C. We drove to Virginia.
New York.
We drove to New York.
Yes.
We
All over.
We traveled all over to go to auditions, to be in shows. We did it.
We sure did.
Carolyn, you have raced over 100 runways. 100 runways. And at the prime age, 73 years old,
Yes.
you are still gracing runways.
Yes.
Carolyn, tell everybody, what that feels like, because you see the average 73-year, person, woman, man, and this is not what they're giving us. Tell me what it's like for you at 73 to still grace a runway and do it with such grace and elegance.
It wasn't always easy. For some reason, this industry have a problem with that number.
Yeah.
That number. I used to go to castings and would be turned away because, quote unquote, we don't use models now at this age,
Wow.
from 60 and up. I was like, what does that number have to do with me gracing the runway and walking or
Right.
designer?
Right.
It's just what it is, a number. And I used to get discouraged, but then God said, who you believe.
Right.
And when you listen to what he tells you, look where I am now today.
Right.
I embrace that number because I'm still here.
Yeah.
And I'm still able, because of God, to do what I do and what I love to do.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to allow man to discourage me from walking that runway.
Yeah. Tell me where your love before modeling even started?
For some reason, they used to tell me that I would love dressing up when my grandmother would put them little fuzzy little socks, and lace socks on me. But from that point on, even when I was in school, everyone said, you're going to be a model. I know it. And it was always told to me, and it was something that I always wanted to do. Even in my yearbook, it states what I'm going to be,
Right.
a model.
Right.
And that's just what I became. At 18, I went to modeling school.
Today's episode of Talking with 3D Live is brought to you by IRoseFilms. IRoseFilms photo booth will capture every special event, from birthday parties, weddings, baby showers. They also specialize in 360 booths, also videography. So please make sure that anytime that you have a special event, contact IRoseFilms, IRoseFilms.com. So, but Carolyn, when you step out to go to 7-Eleven, Carolyn, you are modeling. When you step out to go to a yard sale, Carolyn, I even remember when we went yard selling one time, and you came out in chiffon and was flowing. I said, girl, I thought we were going, I had to go back and change. I mean, that's why I put this on today, because I'm like, how's she going to show up?
Exactly.
We went to do a yard sale and to go find things. You were decked out. I could not get through the yard sale with everybody like, who is this? This is Carolyn Phillips, y'all. Let me move to the side. This is Carolyn Phillips.
And when you said that, I love going to yard sales. And I went to a yard sale, and I didn't think I was all that.
No, Carolyn, you be all that.
I walked up to this lady, and she just went berserk. She said, "Oh my God." And I'm doing a fashion show for her, February 2025.
Yeah.
Fundraiser.
I mean, everywhere.
Didn't even know she was in the industry.
But do you think about it? Do you think like, I have to now walk out the door now and represent, because your brand, Carolyn Phillips is a brand, so do you have to walk out the door thinking, I have to present myself in this way? Because otherwise people are going to be like, oh, Carolyn, what's wrong? Something wrong with you today?
And that has happened. And I mean, some church members saw me in the grocery store, and because I've never seen you without your heels. I said, well, I don't wear heels 24/7. I'm normal.
They think you're cooking dinner in your heels.
Yeah, I'm normal. I said, I'm normal just like you. I don't walk around the house in high heels 24/7.
I think, but I think it's hard because we see Carolyn Phillips in that light. Always dressed. People would tell me, it would be so funny, when you were working downtown Baltimore, and people would just say out of the blue, oh my gosh, I saw this woman, and she had this on, and her glasses matched, and she had on these high heels and everything. And I said, was she bald? And they were like, yeah, that was her. And yeah, Carolyn Phillips. That was people they were so fascinated, so fascinated by you. And let's talk about that. I know you're the founder of The Bold, the Bald, and the Beautiful. And you started this show to represent not just women, but men also, that were bald. And you called it the Bold, the Bald, and the Beautiful. When did you make a decision that you were going to wear this bald head and rock it? Because a lot of women don't have the confidence to do it, first off, for whatever reasons. And there's so many reasons why, men have to wear a bald head. But you made a decision, you made a choice, and you rocked it. And people just know, again, that's your brand. When did that start?
And this has been, 35 years or so. And when the first time I did it, my cousin cut it. This was just for for fun. because I knew it was just hair and it would grow back.
Right.
And I liked it then. But then, you know, young back then, and I just wore the weaves and the braids and all that. And the expense
Yeah. Of keeping up.
of keeping it up,
Yeah.
the expense of it was just getting to be too much.
Yeah.
And I always liked the bald, so I went bald and I stayed bald.
Yeah.
And so I really was the one that really embraced that before anybody was really wearing it bald,
Right.
you know. And when I first did, people was like, and it wasn't so much a people I'm seeing, well, do you have cancer? Because way back then,
Right.
it wasn't it wasn't really talked about
Right.
as far as that, like it is now,
Right.
you know, and how it's being embraced because they have cancer now or alopecia.
Right.
And so I carried it. And that was my signature now, you know,
Right.
because I'm now on the runway and I'm bald headed.
Right.
And the women was just amazed at the fact that I can come out looking like this.
Right.
And that really helped women in a way that they didn't have to hide behind their illness,
Right.
because it was what it is, a illness.
Right.
And it's something that they had to deal with and they didn't have to hide
Don't
behind
have
it.
to hide it.
And showing them that this is who we are,
Right.
regardless of the hair on your head, you're still a child of God and you're still gorgeous.
And you're still beautiful. Still beautiful.
It's just hair.
And that's how I've always known you, Carolyn. And I've even remembered designers coming and saying, well, can she put a wig on?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you did put a wig on, we're like, where's Carolyn? Said, can somebody tell Carolyn she's next? And you'd have that wig on, and we're like, take it off, because it's not you, you know? But there were a lot of designers that wanted to force you
To
not
wear.
to be you.
To
You know,
change me.
what do you say to that? You know, designers that wanted to change you.
And some had said, well, would you mind? And I said, this is who I am. And now it was one show that I did for a producer, and she politely said, would you just do this for me? Because it was something that she was producing,
Yeah.
and everyone else had the same image that they wanted me to have too.
Right.
And I embraced that.
Right.
But other than that, nope, this is me.
That's you.
This is me.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of our young girls need to see this, need to hear it, because the fact that not even just about having a bald head, I think a lot of our young girls need to understand to embrace everything about them. Because the fact that whatever flaws that you have, love every flaw.
Every one of them.
Love every flaw. And having a bald head is not a flaw. It's, again, that's a part of who I am. It's a part of who you are. And I remember when I shaved all my hair off, because I was thinning, and I was like, I am not going to walk around looking like this and everything. And I had this red hair, and it was long, and I thought, you know, I was one of the DeBarges, because I had this nice, pretty, silky hair. And I was like, oh, I'm one of the DeBarges. I would tell people, oh, I'm related to the DeBarges. And when I had to cut my hair, at first I was devastated. But when all the compliments that I got, when they seen me without it, because everybody always saw me with hair. They saw me with the cornrows. They saw me with the braids. They saw me, you know, my aunt used to, one time, this is the one time I told my mother to cut my hair. We were in IHOP, and we were sitting there, and the waiter came out, and the waiter was like, and again, my hair was long. It was long, and they had, my aunt, she was a beautician, and she loved to do stuff with my hair. So they came out, and it was like, oh my gosh, your boys are so handsome. And they're like, oh, and your little girl's so pretty. I was like, cut my hair. And nobody said nothing. Nobody said anything. My brothers didn't say nothing. They didn't laugh. But I looked at my mother, and I was like, you're going to cut my hair. But I at the time, you know, again, you're a kid. You don't really realize what's in line for you. But as an adult, I remember that, and I just learned to embrace, you know, the baldness.
And you know, it's in the beginning back, you know, because when cancer is really running rapid in the women, and they would come up, they would see me in the store, and the first thing they would ask me, "Are you battling cancer?" And I said, "No, this is by choice." And they would have a wig on, or a scarf tied around.
Yeah.
And a lot of women ask me, "How do you feel being with
That's important.
being bald?" And I said, "It's no different than when I had hair on my head. I'm still me."
Yeah.
And how do you get the courage to come out
Right.
and not have your head covered?
Because it's easy for a man.
It's exactly.
But for a woman, it's completely.
Because society is it's all about hair.
It's about hair.
About hair.
Hair is down to their ankles nowadays.
It's about hair, exactly.
These girls are coming and their hair is all wrapped up. They let it down, and then they're Rapunzel.
Yeah, it's about
So
hair.
it's all about hair,
and that's what society has showed us, that it's all about hair. And then say, well, they would ask me how did I take care of it? You know, did I cut it myself? And they said, I'm gonna get the courage to not start hiding with this wig. And then they said, "This it's so hot out here. I'm uncomfortable with it. I want to take it off." And I said, "Take it off.
Yeah.
Who are you trying to impress?"
Right. You should just be impressing yourself.
Yourself.
Just impress yourself.
Yourself.
So you started the bold, the bald, the beautiful. And I would say 95% of the women and the men are bald. We had a couple that, you know, but they were bald. And it was beautiful to see the men and the women embrace, especially the women, again, embrace their baldness. So I think that you're starting something where I do see more women that are embracing that this is who I am.
Yes, now, and I think down
It's
the
like you
road
started
you're
a
gonna see, whoop,
Yeah,
because it's really growing now. It's
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's growing now.
So with doing your shows and everything, what is the message? And I know that you've said a little bit. What's the message that you want to get across? Especially again, like talk to the young girls that are out there.
The message that I want to really get out to all the women, young, me, you know, it doesn't matter. The industry is big. The industry is big for all of us.
Right.
It's not just one person. It's all of us. And be able to share.
Yeah.
And that's our problem in this industry. We don't want to share.
Right. Yeah.
We have castings come about, and when you get that invite someone else.
Yeah.
Unless it's told to you, I only want you.
Right.
Then it's a different story.
Right.
But when you are asked to cast, you say, well, can I invite others to cast? Do you need other models to cast?
Right.
Share it. And that's a big problem.
But you are very good on that because you do, invite other girls, you invite other guys to come to casting. So you're very good on that. I think the industry has changed a lot too because there's so many shows that are out there and a lot of models, especially that are coming up, they don't understand the concept of going to castings or being a model. And a lot of people are doing things now that they're doing it for free. So I think it's important that models do their research We all do things, regardless if it's part of acting, if it's modeling. We do things that's how we get our start. That's how we get our name out there.
Exactly.
That's how you become a Carolyn Phillips.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So, but I think that also that, we as models and actors and everything, we're traveling back and forth, and we're going to auditions, and we're going to the rehearsals and everything. We have to make sure that we're taken care of as well.
Exactly. Yes.
If it's a gas card.
Yes, something. And when we're doing these castings, they know your background. They should know.
Yes.
Your background.
Right. Yeah. So I put together Stop the Runway for Autism. I don't believe in having rehearsals. I just don't. Because the fact I chose you because you're a model. I chose you because you passed the audition.
Exactly.
Exactly. So to keep having you having rehearsals to see you do the same thing over and over again, I feel like something's wrong with me.
Exactly.
Because what am I doing? What am I getting out of it? I think that you as a model, I chose you because the fact of you are a model. Even if I don't even know you, if I met you for the first time, I chose you for a reason. And then those that I know, why do I need to keep seeing you walk back and forth?
Exactly.
It's not a need.
Exactly.
So I think that we have to, especially our producers, directors of fashion shows, that you have to trust the model. You chose them for a reason. I guarantee you, unless it's a big production show, Tyra Banks and them are not having these rehearsals all night long.
No, not by no means.
Unless it's some dance rehearsal or something like that, they're going to rehearse. But I guarantee you, all right, we're coming. We want y'all to walk on the runway today. And they're like, for what? This is what I do for a living. So.
You're right.
Yeah.
And they need to sit back and say, okay, I know your work.
Right.
You worked with us numerous times, not just me, others. So I know your work. You shouldn't have to come to a casting if they know your work.
Right.
If they reach out to you and say, I don't, like they'll say, you don't have to cast.
Right.
Which is great. And then you have to realize that there's an expense for this model.
That's right. Yeah.
Her travel time,
right,
going, it could be Virginia, DC, New York, whatever. Who's paying for that?
Yeah.
That model. Yeah. Every time that model goes for a casting, it's coming out of that model's pocket.
You better say it.
That model's pocket.
Yeah.
And then when they do go to the castings, they make the shows, then they have to turn around and go back through the same procedure of using their money to go for the show.
And we have to treat our models better, even, on set and during shows and everything, because a lot of times these models, again, are traveling from all over. And then they get there and all they get is a bottle of water.
Exactly.
Nothing. And if you're putting on shows, I think it's your responsibility. I hands down think it's your responsibility to take care of your talent. And your talent are your models, are your backstage workers. And I think it's very important. And and I'm talking to, all of those that are out there to put on shows. We have to do better. We can't sit here all the time and expect everyone to do something for free. And then we don't do something back for them.
Exactly. And when, like, you Stomp the Runway is a fundraiser, Ball Beautiful and Bold is a fundraiser.
Right.
And that is told to all that I invite to participate in my show. But I'm going to take care of you.
That's right. Yeah.
Because it is a fundraiser and you're giving me your time.
Yeah.
I've got to give you something.
Right. And even if it's in gift bags or something like that.
Yes.
Food and giving it gas cards and especially giving it back to your your makeup artists and so on, things like that. So I think it's very important that we make sure in this industry we take care of each other. Because a lot of times we don't. The models are really looked over. They're really looked over.
And another thing, Derrick, we as models need to ask when there's a casting now, what is that date? Producers need to start putting that date out there in the castings as well when the show, because a lot of times you can go to the casting, you get to the casting, you find out the date and can't do it. So that's an expense that you've already, it's in New York. That's an expense. You've traveled all the way.
Right.
And you get there and they select you, they give you the date,
And then
you
you
can't do it.
You can't do it. Yeah. So we got to do better. We got to do better. We have to communicate better, and we have to make sure that, again, our models are taken care of. They're taken care of. Listen, I know you're doing great community things, talking about the community, doing great things in the community. You worked with Governor Westmore.
Yes.
And before he even became governor of Baltimore, you would go out and campaign for him, and became great friends with Governor Westmore, and working alongside him and doing things with his wife and things like that. What was that like?
When it was just a wonderful blessing for me. Before he became governor, and when I first met him the first time, he was he was a speaker at this event that I participate. And he came up, and it was all of us bald models at the table. And he came up to all of us and introduced himself and Dawn and said, "I'm running for governor." But just hearing his speech, which we didn't know at the time that he was running for governor until he came and introduced himself. But just listening to his speech, it was just overwhelming to all of us at the table, not just me, all of us. And then when he came and he approached us and he introduced himself and told us what his plans were, it was like, he's great.
Yeah.
His personality was just overwhelming, and Dawn's. And he wasn't governor then. So I said, I can imagine what he's going to be like when he becomes governor.
When he becomes governor. And I have to thank Carolyn, because she would take me along to a lot of those events, and I got to meet. At that time, he was Westmore, now he's Governor Westmore, but I got to meet Governor Westmore, and again, just dynamic, and just to be a part and be in the room with him.
It's just amazing.
Just amazing. So we're going to play a game. I love a good game on Talking with 3D. I love me a good game, Carolyn.
And he knows me, right?
I don't know how this is going to turn out.
No.
So look, we're going to play Turn It Up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold a card up to my forehead.
All right, okay.
You are going to have to describe on this card so I can guess what the card says. So it's going to be a movie. Is it up? Is it upside down? Is it right?
It's right. It's right.
Okay, so I'm going to hold this up.
Okay.
I forgot my timer, so my PA over there, he's going to count out 30 seconds. You don't have to count it out loud, just 30 seconds, and let me know. Just hold your hand up when time is up. All right, and go.
Oh.
It's the ocean?
Yes.
Okay.
You
You dive in?
No, you
sunk?
Okay. Yeah, okay. Sunk, yes.
You ain't said nothing yet. You sunk in the boat?
No, you're not sunk, but you're sunk.
You're in a submarine?
Yes.
You ain't supposed to say the word, girl. You're in a submarine? Okay.
What is the color of it though? It's
blue?
No.
Black?
No, it's
white?
bright. It's bright and it's
orange?
like the sun.
Yellow submarine. Okay. Good. Next one. Go.
Oh my God. I'll pass on that one.
Pass one. Okay. Go.
Children.
Okay.
And you sit
Children
around.
of corn.
No, children. You sit around with them.
And you read.
And and it's like that movie that was out that with the children.
There's a lot of movies out with children. Toy Story. Okay. Last one.
What they just had recently in Atlanta. It wasn't. No, it wasn't that. It was no. Well, it was similar to that.
Okay.
where goes
Tornado.
No, but I mean like that.
Wizard of Oz.
No. It's like a tornado,
You
but
spoken tongues. I don't know. Twister. Okay, come on. What was that to your head? You just looked at it, girl.
Okay.
Don't look at it.
Okay.
Okay. When you're outside and you
freezing.
and the name of the movie is yes.
Frozen.
Yes. Next one. Okay. When I asked you to come over and watch my kids, what are you doing?
Babysitting.
Yes. So what's the first? That's the last.
Nanny?
No.
A baby.
It's a movie. When you go on an excursion, what are you going on? An excursion.
A boat ride.
No. Blank babysitting. Excursion. What are you going on?
A bus trip?
No, go put it down. Adventures in babysitting. Last one. Okay. Okay. When you turn off the lights, it gets
dark.
And what are they in England? They stand there in front of the
statues.
No, it's dark, and then they stand there like statues. They stand like statues, but they're guarding the palace. They're guarding the palace.
They're guard.
The dark palace.
The dark. I don't know.
Put the thing down. The Dark Knight. That's it. We ain't got no more time. But you tried. Good job. Good job. This is one of my favorite games. I love this game. But thank you, Carolyn. Thank you so much for coming.
Really great.
Thank you for coming on Talking with 3D Live. You'll have to come back again. And I really wanted people to hear your story, to hear the message. And there's so much more to tell and everything.
Yes.
One thing that I want my listeners to know, that whatever your flaws are, whatever you're going through and everything, just be confident enough just to know that you are beautiful, whatever you're going through. Everything isn't about a sickness. Everything is not about a disease. It's about who you want to be. So promote who you are. So I want to thank everybody for watching on Talking with 3D Live. Go out, love somebody, and hug somebody. Peace. Have a good one. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you have enjoyed this episode of Talking with 3D Live. Do me a big favor. Make sure that you go subscribe to our channel. Click it, love it, share it, do all those things. And hey, do me a big favor. Go out and get my book, The Whole Truth and Nothing But the Truth, available on Amazon right now. It is a good read and you'll enjoy it. So please make sure you support The Whole Truth and Nothing But the Truth.